China has challenged the United States to reduce its nuclear arsenal to the same level as China. China has, in fact, laid down conditions to join the trilateral arms control negotiation. Fu Kong, Chinese head of arms control department, made this particular statement. The US has been seeking China's participation in the US-Russia-China trilateral. The flagship nuke army treaty between the United States, China, Russia expires on the second month of 2021. China says it has no interest in joining the trilateral negotiation. And yesterday, China became part of the Global Nuclear Treaty at the United Nations, and the US, under the Trump administration, had spurned the treaty in 2019. What does this mean? Well, China is telling the United States that you come down to our level and then we will talk to you. How ludicrous is that? How, in fact, the world is going to perceive that the US has 20 times more the nuclear arsenal than China does? Why would they consider such a bargain without any return? In fact, at this moment, the United States is extremely peeved and irritated with the country of China. Joining us on the program right now is a political analyst, foreign policy expert, Sumit Peer. We're also joined by Major General S.P. Sinha, who is a defense expert. Later on, we will have Jitendra Ojha, ex-Joint Secretary, Cabinet Secretary at the National Security Specialist. We will also be joined by Mr. Bharat, who's a foreign journalist. Sumit Peer, let me come to you first. How odd does it sound that the Chinese government is asking the United States government that, look, you have about 1,000 plus nuclear warheads. We have 1/5 of that amount. If you want us to come and talk to you on the same table, then you have to reduce your arsenal. I mean, is that something that you even say to a country like the United States? It's like Pakistan telling us, like, look, first you reduce your army and then we will talk peace.
I think, Vineet, I personally found it totally ironical. I can't comprehend why did in the first place United States, which is a superpower, even invite China for such a negotiation, because what we know today, what the information in the public domain is, China has 320 nuclear warheads and United States has 5,800. So it's approximately 20 times what you rightly said. Now, how can you expect somebody with 20 times the arsenal to bring them down to you? And we don't know what is your arsenal, because that is the information which is available in the public domain. Maybe you have much more arsenal than that. So the question is, how can I give away with my things and trust China in the current geopolitical situation? Do you think we need there's something called trusting China in any way whatsoever is possible? You cannot trust China when they say the sun will come up tomorrow. So you are expecting United States to bring down its arsenal. Anyway, Russians have slightly more arsenal than United States. It's around 6,300 warheads as per the information in the public domain. So there is a counterbalance here. United States has to also see a counterbalance with this Russia and China together. So there is no way this arsenal can be reduced. And even if you want to reduce this arsenal, we know it works a radioactive half-life, that it will take 20, 30, 50 years for this arsenal to be really dismantled and go useless because of the radioactive half-life. It is not something which you can dismantle and it will go. So you have to bury it under the ground. The 50% will go in the first half-life. Then another 50% or 50% will go. That's how the nuclear weapons disintegrate. So with this kind of a circle and this kind of a cycle, how the weapon system works, how can we expect them to bring it down? And do you want to wait for 30 years and we'll start a negotiation? This is something absurd. Because I'm personally, I'm not comfortable with the fact, why do you want to position China as a nuclear superpower? They're not there. With 320 warheads, you cannot compete with Russians or Americans in any way whatsoever. So why are you giving them that space? Yes, they are an unreliable nation. They will continue to be so. So anything they say, if you trust them, that's doomsday. I personally don't see a logic here. You cannot trust them. And what they are saying is kind of kids play. How can you bring it down? It will take 30, 40 years to bring it down to your level. Then are you saying we'll talk after 40 years? I don't understand. Beyond comprehension. How do you trust them? $1 million question. Or anything.
But Sumit, how important is this trilateral forum? Obviously, US, Russia, and China on a joint platform where very easily it is prevalent and obvious that the Russian government is leaning towards the Chinese at this point in time,
correct,
considering the kind of help they are receiving from the Chinese.
Vineet, that's what the point I was trying to make. If you look at the Russian arsenal, known 6,300 approximately, add another 320 of Chinese, makes 6,620, and US is 5,800. So anyway, there is a dearth of around, they have a combined together, they have a 10% advantage over the US as per the known data in the public domain. I don't know what are the real numbers, it might have increased or decreased. We even suspect that China has much more arsenal than what they claim. Let's assume that is true. So it's a fine balance of power between the United States, China and Russia. So you have to see what I said in the earlier argument is very important from a perspective of United States and Russia. But you cannot factor out China in the whole game. That is why Americans are trying to factor in the Chinese because they're seeing the Chinese and Russian arsenal. That's where the catch can be. And nobody knows what is the exact number of Chinese arsenal. It might have gone 10 times, 5 times, 2 times, God knows what. But obviously, if they are being invited, there is some logic which you and me do not know because we don't have preview to that kind of information and that kind of intelligence, what possibly Americans have. There has to be a very finite logic of inviting them. If you look at mere numbers, Vinny, that doesn't add up. And if you look at the Chinese logic, bring down to my level, it will take 40 years. So the talks cannot wait up to 40 years because the treaty is ending in February 2021. So you don't have a lot of time for that. That's my take on this.
Okay. All right, Mr. Jitendra Ojha, ex-Joint Secretary and National Security Specialist, also joins us on the program. Mr. Ojha, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Your assessment of the kind of demands that China is making to be evenly poised and placed against the United States, asking a country such as America to reduce their nuclear arsenal, if they want to have any kind of a trilateral understanding between Russia and China. How do you perceive that?
Look, as a previous panelist has mentioned, it's very difficult to get entire information of this kind in open domain. There's a report in a UK-based journal that at their Lucknow facility last 1 year plus or 2 year plus, Chinese have been working very hard to develop some secretive weapon systems. So that is one aspect that United States may be concerned. And 2-3 things we cannot ignore. Look, these numbers are important, but beyond a point, you say credible minimum deterrence. So China has gone way beyond credible minimum deterrence. To their ICBM's Dongfeng 41 is capable of traveling even to the United States. It practically does threaten. And then what happens? Last, RAND Corporation had come out with a report, I suppose a year back or a little earlier. And they have mentioned how difficult it has become for the United States to penetrate the air defense system. China in certain areas and closer to Japan also, some of their bases, they become vulnerable. Another delivery system which they have developed is DF-17, and DF-17 is believed to be something neither Americans are having something comparable to that, or it's a hypersonic system, not supersonic system. But even after entering atmosphere, it can change its trajectory. And it does not threaten United States itself, but some of its forward bases are threatened. So they may be having some idea, of course. But as far as Chinese are concerned, they are very, very arrogant. There is no doubt about it. And I would say that something like this, even SALT, which started before START, what is the objective of this? It's maddening to have this kind of weapon system. It was reflective of distrust, and people were concerned that, look, having such systems threatens everyone. It threatens the whole world. So it was a kind of trust which was ushered in, and SALT got converted into START. And you said, this trilateral. There's nothing called this trilateral forum. The forum is only bilateral between US and US and Russia. And initially in 70s they started with SALT, and then Ronald Reagan came out. And they started with START and START 1. START 2 was renewed by Barack Obama. So the whole process of this trust building should have gone ahead. Look, weapon is fine and it's dynamics. The issue is trust. You build trust to make world secure and make world less vulnerable. But the China's entire approach, which we notice because of its opaque and authoritarian structure. Look, I'm not an arms specialist. I have a broader ambit of national security. I have practiced it and I have taught, including people in defense forces. I've taught them as well. So my whole thing is much broader, and this broader broader thing which I notice is absolute, or rather very serious erosion in trust at one level. There are doubts even within NATO allies that to what extent Americans are very keen about it, or very, very keen to retain cohesion of NATO. So they are thinking, there is one level, this American leadership of NATO has gone down, and at this point of time, Chinese have become very assertive. And even if their warheads in terms of total number is very small, I believe it poses significant threat. And as previous panelists pointed out, that entire information may not be available in the open domain. And there's a special arms control rapporteur or a special envoy of US president. He has been making statements that, look, Chinese have been up to something. So I believe there's a much larger picture. Logic, as you concerned, is considered, look, when people are having so much of power, they don't go by logic. A brilliant man like Napoleon, he decided to venture into Russia and he landed up destroying himself. So Chinese have a tendency of self-destruction at any point, at some point of time. And this president is showing by his arrogance a very, very destructive kind of streak, which can be dangerous for China and dangerous for this thing. It is absolutely arrogant. If at all US had invited him, he should have taken it and come up and then rather try to act as a stakeholder. But you see the level of arrogance they have that you bring down to this level. This is not possible. No country is going to bring it down to this level. Please.
Absolutely. And General Sinha, if you can hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
All right, sir. Good. So, what do you make of this ongoing negotiation that China has been trying to achieve with the United States? A permanent member of the UNSC, disarmament has been a prerogative of all the 5 members of the UNSC, but at the same time, it's the United States which has been pushing for disarmament from all sides. But when it comes to China, they expect a conditional disarmament going forward. With the situation that the Chinese government finds itself in today, do you think they have any chance by putting up conditions, especially when you're dealing with the United States? Donald Trump is extremely displeased with the way the Chinese government has handled the pandemic and the way they've gone about imposing and implementing the security law as well.
To see, first of all, China cannot be trusted. Secondly, China is not a signatory to Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty, INF Treaty. Thirdly, China is not signatory to New START, Strategy Arms Reduction Treaty, whereas USA and Russia are constrained by the fact that there is February 2021. They are constrained that the number should not exceed 1,550. There is no such constraint on the part of China. China's intentions are dubious. China says that for China to attend this meet, there is a condition that USA should reduce its nuclear arsenal to same level as that of China. This is a very, very clever trap, because China has iron curtain. It does not allow the information to come out of China. So where all China is hiding its nuclear arsenal, only China knows, nobody else knows. In one of the parades, when there was a display of nuclear arms, China's figures were more than what Western powers had estimated. So you see, it's a very, very clever ploy on the part of China that it wants to keep continuing pressure, keep applying pressure on USA and also Russia, so that their figures come down, and China secretly will keep raising its figure. That's a very dangerous trend. As of today, Russia has 6490 arsenal, USA 6185, France 300, China 290, UK 200, Pakistan 160, India 140, Israel 90, and North Korea 30. So you see, there is, on paper, seems to be a big gap between the holding of Russia nuclear arsenal, America and China. But the fact is, what is the international process to verify the claims of China that it is only holding 290? It is believed that in next few years, China is going to double its figure. And China may have already crossed 1,000, if I'm not wrong, because there's no information which is coming out.
True.
So therefore, I personally feel that China should not be trusted, and at international level, and due to COVID-19, there should be economic war against China and international pressure on China, so that China mends its ways, buckles down, and comes to the negotiating table. Because any arms race is the biggest threat to international peace and international community. The existence of whole world is in danger. This has to be understood. The character and DNA of China has to be understood, because if we even put 1% reliance and faith in China, we are doomed. We have seen China in Doklam, we have seen China in Eastern Ladakh, we have seen China since '62. So we have enough experience of China's duplicity. It says something else, it does something else. So China cannot be believed. There is a need to arm twist China so that it comes to negotiating table. And so another important thing is that there should be some process, some procedure to verify holding of nuclear arsenal with regard to these countries. There should be some international team, some United Nations team. Otherwise, countries like China will continue to take rest of the countries for the ride.
Absolutely. Sumit, China can't be trusted, and that's the chorus which is, emanating throughout the world. But at the same time, even General Sinha pointed this out, that how can you even trust the figures that they've already put out? Who knows whether they have 230 or 1,230?
Yes. Supreme claims 320 figure for China.
Vinny, this is exactly the point I made, that I find this thing completely absurd. First of all, you cannot be trusted. Secondly, nothing about China can be trusted. Even if they say the sun rises tomorrow, you cannot even trust that. So how does the world know they only have 320 warheads? That is available in the public media. We don't know the figure. Maybe they are 3,200, maybe they are 700 today. So, and if even United States tries to bring down its arsenal to Chinese level, hypothetically, it will take 4 decades. Look at the United States number and go by the nuclear half-life of the radioactive material. It will take 4 decades for them to come to that level. So are you telling us we'll only have a negotiation after 40 years, so that by 40 years we'll bring up the arsenal? And last and the important point is, you have to look at a scenario where you have to look American and Russian arsenal together. That fact of life cannot be ignored today. And what General Saab rightly said, where on earth is Chinese arsenal? Maybe a lot of it is in Pakistan today. Maybe they are hiding in Gilgit, forget Gilgit, Pakistan, maybe in POK, maybe in Pakistan. Maybe you will see Chinese missiles not in China, they are in Pakistan. You will not be surprised to see some of them being ferried in a train in North Korea as we talk. So that is also another aspect. So where is the trust? Trust and China are oxymorons. So anything on this earth starts with the fundamental pretext of trust. Trust and China are oxymorons. We cannot waste our time. And in fact, we have to be more and more careful. The world has to be more and more careful with China, because this demand, and what I find ironically, President Trump makes this invitation, and you don't have the President Xi or a foreign minister responding. You have somebody who had such Chinese Atomic Commission responding to a President of the United States with the absurd demand कि भाई ऐसा करो, आप सब कुछ बेच बाज दो, फिर हम बात करेंगे. I mean, are you out of your senses? What are you talking? Is this how you handle diplomacy?
Well, that's exactly what Mr. Oja also said. That is exactly what Mr. Oja also said, that the arrogance of the Chinese is perhaps boundless. Even at a time, Mr. Oja, when they are being chided, they are being rebuked, they are being admonished from all corners for various transgressions, social, economical, and moral.
It's a much larger picture. If as national security, I see in a much larger picture. This is a one small tactical piece, and this is what to expect. The world is having, as I see from national security perspective of India, that at one level the clout or influence of US has been on decline. One has to acknowledge it. And I mentioned even in weapon system, look, there was a lot of concern about DF-17. They said that DF-17 is capable of even defying US air defense system. So I'm not saying 1996 onwards till 2020, there's a remarkable transformation. Whatever political system China or governance system China has devised, that governance system has ruthless level of efficiency in certain sectors. It may not give political liberty to its opponents. It may not allow certain ideas to come up. But as far as technological innovation and excellence is concerned, and defense forces modernization is concerned, China's state machinery has been extremely successful. But in this global order, 2 more things have happened. Russia's economic clout has declined, and Russia is somehow dependent on China economically, because even if you are developing this defense capabilities, you need economic power, economic capacity to sustain these defense modernization. China has used, if you see each and every project of China is dual use. It is building a very strong strategic military capacity at one level. In this region, in its own region, it is quite formidable. And even Americans have to think many times. They say that their capabilities even are now not in such a position to penetrate China's air defense system in this region. This is what some of the reports of think tanks and others are suggesting. So look, this is a change in power. In this power, I will be very honest to say, I have that our governance system, whatever it is, we were of similar size. Our relative economic, what shall I say, that we are 5 times lesser than China, and that is one thing which is causing a massive global imbalance. Not only I am saying now, but some of the global strategists, they have been saying that India has to come up for its own self. And if India comes up, the world will be far more stable and secure. But having said that, I must say that we are the only power who has some goodwill with Russia. We also have goodwill with Americans. So all these resources are fine, but China has come up as the biggest threat to mankind at this stage. If you see a cumulative this thing, and this particular part is small manifestation of a larger strategic picture which has been emerging.
Absolutely. General Sinha wanted to comment. Sir, go ahead.
Yeah, Vineet, I want to mention a few things. Since 1987, China missile arsenal and capabilities have developed manifold, have advanced manifold, firstly. Secondly, China is already in possession of DF-41, which has multiple warheads. It is in the process of introducing DF-17, which will be a hypersonic missile. That means hypersonic means 6 to 7 times than the speed of sound. All these very, very dangerous trends. The problem here main problem, that China is our neighbor. A country which cannot be relied upon by any country of the world is our neighbor, which believes in expansionist policy. Another important thing I would like to mention, Vineet, that our political system, China has a dictatorship, Communist Party dictatorship. The word of President Xi is final. Nobody questions. In India, even if you do something good, there are umpteen political parties who start raising hue and cry. If people start raising hue and cry on POK strike, Balakot strike, how can the defense of the country be guaranteed? That is the moot question. Unless we speak in one voice, we stand together, we fight the enemies together, we can differ. Within your family, within my family, my son differs, my wife can differ with me, but that is the difference of perception. But when it comes to national security, we have to speak in one voice.
I completely agree with you, sir. And I'm sure neither of our panelists, any of our panelists, will differ from what you have said, that when it comes to national security, Sumit, we have to be in unison, we have to be a united voice. And, it's essential to realize that we might have cultural similarities in terms of heritage with China, but when it comes to the system of governance, we are poles apart. And that has to be computed. That has to be factored in, Sumit, when we are making a policy or if we are budgeting against China from now.
After 15 June, everything with China, all the history, geography, ecosystem, theory, hypothesis has changed. China is now our most pertinent threat. I would want to use threat because Pakistan, in my opinion, is a nuisance because they can never take on India. But China is a real threat today, tomorrow, and day after. And they are going to cut our way in any global form, in any way whatsoever possible. You see, Vineet, look at our national security. You have this General Zhao who heads the Western Theater Command. I don't know why they call it theater, because they believe in a lot of drama, propaganda, theater. Then you have the Central Theater Command, and the person who heads that reports directly to Xi Jinping. Now, you cannot become a general in PLA if you are not a member of Communist Party. So you have a dangerous nexus of communist mindset, generals becoming, members of Communist Party becoming the general, and you're just 3 lines of command to see, and you are communist, and you have done a wonderful program, 2 days back, that, in Mao Zedong's time, 45 million people died. So you are up against a person where even killing millions of people is okay. 45 million people, they doesn't matter. They are just numbers, and, they believe in this Goebbels doctrine of making this propaganda, telling we have this, we have that. So it's a different debate for some other time. But when it comes to national security, I have written in my portal, Vineet, 1.5 years back, China is the threat to world peace. I could see this happening, what people are realizing today. And now it is out in the open. It is out in the open.
Others have also said, Vineet, that China constitutes a threat to entire mankind because of its opaque system. And it has always been like this.
And it is now out in open. What I'm happy, Vineet, now all the countries from Syria, Sudan to Australia to any country in the Europe realizes Your biggest threat is not your neighbor next door or adversary you have. You have to worry about People's Republic of China, and that is what the unfortunate, part of the life is. The coronavirus has proven us how we all can be hiding in our homes because of a virus which was groomed and developed in a lab in Wuhan. I mean, we don't know what all are they doing. 1,500 viruses are there, as per the media reports.
Yes, may I also? So please.
We need 30 seconds for me. You see, it's my appreciation, Army appreciation, that it's my personal experience of Army, which suggests to me, which gives me an intuitive feeling that one day, I'm repeating, one day, America and Russia will have to combine to contain China. Russia knows this, that China is going to pose threat to Russia in years to come. So the powers of the world have to combine together to teach a lesson. And the best way to teach a lesson is economic war against China. Because if President Xi is very conscious of his image, if there is an economic chaos, if there is a loss of face at international level, if because of COVID-19, President Xi is losing grip within China, if we continue with this trend in the offensive mode, China under President Xi will buckle down, it's my belief, and we'll be able to contain the expansionist design of China in a big way. Don't forget, Vineet, that China's Mao's policy was one palm and five fingers policy. And the palm was Tibet, and the fingers were Nepal, Sikkim, Bhutan, Arunachal Pradesh, Ladakh. So this expansionist policy, China has not abandoned since the days of Mao. And there is no change in its attitude. So we are up with a very, very dangerous country. And Russia also should start pondering over this issue, that when it will be challenged by China. That's the importance that we challenge.
All right.
Yes. May I say something?
In fact, we've run out of time, but nevertheless, the opinions and the feedback that we received through this debate is illuminating to the effect that China needs to be contained, and a very valid point made over there by General Sinha as well, that the United States and Russia, arch enemies and nemesis, need to combine and come together to defeat China. First of all, economically, and then perhaps there won't be even a need to tackle them militarily. Thank you, gentlemen, for being a part of this wonderful debate.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.